My name is Dion Morales, your host of the Gold Squadron podcast, and welcome to our How to Play the Siege of Coruscant scenario. In this scenario, we have the Separatist Alliance trying to hold on to the Chancellor of the Galactic Republic while the Jedi and clones try to board the Invisible Hand to save the Chancellor. We'll start with list building rules. For the purposes of our example today, we will only be using pilots out of the Siege of Coruscant pack. These are the standard loadout cards that the pack includes. For Separatists, they are able to use up to 25 squad points in their list. For the Republic, you can build 20 points of a squad. And then additionally, you are able to set aside any 2 pilots that are standard loadout from the Siege of Coruscant pack, regardless of their cost, and put them in reserve to start the game. Let's go ahead and move on to setup. The first thing you need to do is establish your play area, which side will be the Separatist and then which side will be the Republic. After that, you need to take your Invisible Hand scenario feature and place it on the board. This is placed range 2 from the edge of the Separatists and range 3 off of the neutral edge. After that, go ahead and determine who's going to be first player and begin placing obstacles. Both players will set 2 obstacles each, giving you a total of 4 obstacles on the board. For the place forces step, Separatist players are allowed to place their ships within range 1 of their player edge, within range 1 of the Invisible Hand, and additionally, those ships that they have that are equipped with either landing struts, grappling struts, or strut lock override can be placed overlapping an obstacle anywhere in the play area. For the Republic player, they are able to set up within range 1 of their player edge. So how do you win this scenario? The Republic player wins immediately if they successfully complete a rescue mission. A rescue mission is a scenario ability. We'll cover those in the next section. The Separatist player wins immediately if all Republic ships with force charges have been destroyed. Also, at the end of the 12th round, the Separatist player wins if the Republic player has not boarded the Invisible Hand. Now let's move on to scenario rules and abilities. The Invisible Hand has 15 shields, and during the end phase, if the Invisible Hand has any active shields, may recover 1 inactive shield. Is able to be attacked at range 0 to 3. Can be locked and received ion tokens. Rules for attacking ships apply for attacking the Invisible Hand. All ion tokens are removed at the end of each round. And when it defends, add 1 evade result to the neutralize result step, unless it has 1 or more ion tokens. In this case, this defensive ability is skipped. When playing this scenario, the Separatists have an ability called the Full Might of the Confederacy. Starting in round 2, at the start of the planning phase, each round you may revive 1 destroyed ship. You could do this by repairing all damage and recovering all charges on any non-limited upgrades. Then, place it anywhere on the board beyond range 3 of an enemy ship and take 1 stress token. You then place a dial for it during that planning phase. The Republic also has a scenario ability. It is called This Is Where the Fun Begins. Remember those 2 ships that we put in reserve when we were building our list? This is where they come in. Starting in the 3rd round, during the planning phase, the Republic player may place their reserve ships within range 1 of their board edge. They can come in during the 3rd round or later, but all ships that are in reserve must be placed on the board in a single planning phase. The last and most important scenario ability for the Republic is the rescue mission, as this is the win condition for the Republic player. And in order to do this, there are some very specific things that need to happen. So first, the Invisible Hand must have no shields, and this can only be attempted by a pilot who has the Force. After the Force-yielding pilot executes a maneuver, if they are overlapping the Invisible Hand and are not stressed, they may gain 1 disarm token and 1 rescue token. Then, If your pilot that has that rescue token is able to survive to the end of the turn, at the start of the end phase, if one ship has a rescue token, and only one ship, then you go ahead, you grab 3 attack dice, you roll them, and if you roll a crit, the Republic wins. But if the Republic player manages to execute the rescue mission with 2 ships and has 2 of them survive to the start of the turn, and you have 2 rescue tokens, that is an auto win for the Republic. But lastly, a couple of important things. Rescue tokens are removed at the end of the end phase, which means that if you fail that 3 dice roll when you only have a single rescue token, you're not able to carry that over to the following turn. And lastly, rescue tokens cannot be removed or transferred with any other game effects. So with that, you have everything you need to play the Siege of Coruscant. Now, what we're going to go into next is the game that Marcel and I played here at my home a couple of days ago, giving it a try and learning how to play it. And you can go ahead in the comments below, choose your champion. Who do you think is going to win? Me with the Separatist Alliance or Marcel with the Galactic Republic? So let's go ahead and start by going over our squads. I brought a 7-ship list. If you count it out, you'll notice that it is only 22 points. It ended up being 22 points due to limited number of ships being available. I remember I could have gone up to 25. I brought a Flak Arfak prototype in the Tri-Fighter, DIS-T-81, DIS-T-37. Those are those 3 Tri-Fighters. Then at Initiative 1, we have a Bactoid prototype. That's the Hyena Bomber. 2 Hayor Chow prototypes and DFS 81. Then Marcel on the Republic side brought Obi-Wan Kenobi, Shakti, both in the Eta-2. Had 2 Arc 170s. He had Jag and Wolf, and then Axe in that Torrent. Then additionally had 2 ships in reserve for This Is Where the Fun Begins. Had Anakin Skywalker and Oddball. All right, so I'm joined by my co-host, Marcel Manzano.
Hey.
And William Haygood.
Hello there.
So we're just going to go ahead and kind of talk about what happened in this game. Marcel, let's talk about your opening. You remember any of your thoughts going into this?
Yeah, my thought was to have the Jedi flank, but then I realized that I took Shakti and I put Shakti in the center, and Shakti's ability is basically coordinating 2 ships. And that's why I just pointed in and flew Shakti all the way behind the rock to try to get it close to the other ones to get the double coordinate going. And then I remembered you can't carry focus, and it focuses over, so it's just target lock. So it was kind of what. So it was just a big old don't do this when you play, and keep Shakti probably close to the ships that you wanna coordinate. But so right here my idea was just to approach a little bit slow at first, and kind of draw the fire, and then just come in guns blazing in the like the second or third, in the second engagement, not the third engagement. One of the things that happened is I took Shakti and I put Shakti out of position to use her gun in order to keep her alive. And Shakti has marksmanship plus, basically marksmanship plus ancillary weapon. And as you mentioned earlier when you were going over the rules, there's an auto evade on that big box.
On the invisible hand.
Big box of shields. So Shakti was not around to provide that kind of initial shot and ionization.
I mean, those ancillary weapons have to be very important. Is there any other way to ionize the invisible hand?
Marksmanship. Shakti has marksmanship.
Okay.
So that's basically it. Unless you're taking like one of the ships that have like that Besh or that Besh-esque type.
Okay. Oh, sure. Like a clicker, so like a V-wing.
Yeah, but then you have to hope you roll a natural crit.
Hope you roll a crit.
Yeah, she's the only way to do it naturally.
Anakin
for sure.
Is honestly the best because of malice.
Sure. Okay. Sure. You use the Force to do it.
And your specific
seems very important.
But you can only do that every other round because the ancillary weapon is a is a 2 charge, so you have to like mix. Yeah, you can't do it every round.
Okay.
Now, Will, real quick, we've gone through the rules a little bit. Do you think you would prefer playing the Separatists or the Republic?
I think I would like to play the Separatist, of course. Make it like a tower defense game where they got attackers coming in from what looks like all sides, and I like the theme of being able to select my targets, trying to take out those Jedi specifically, make sure they can't save the Chancellor.
Yep. And now right here, if you just saw on our screen, we just lost one of the ARC 170s. And, Marcel, you're talking to me a little bit about the approach. Honestly, for me, what I was looking for was just like, all right, I'm just going to go out and try to kill the things that are easiest. And I know, with the 1 agility, but I know both after the game, we had said like, hey, I think if we played this again, we would probably approach this very differently.
Yeah, for sure. As you can see, we're in round 3, and I already took out Oddball and Anakin, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna need the reinforcements as fast as possible. Round 3. Yeah, and I was telling Will as well right before we jumped on here. And now that I know the rules, I would not have spent time shooting at your ships. In round 2, we kind of sped through it, but in round 2, I didn't shoot. Obi was the only ship that shot at that. At the box of shields, and the my other ships just basically tried to kill Separatists, which made no sense because they're just going to respawn anyway. So I think my approach was completely off. In the future, I would probably keep 2 Jedi in reserve, just make sure they're not dead.
Well, yeah, because that's one of the win conditions, right? You have to have a Force user in order to have a chance to win the game. Because as soon as I kill all your Force users, that's it. You lost.
Yeah, so now one of the things that I didn't know about the rules is, and maybe you can clear it up, is if I have a Force crew, does that count as a Force?
So that goes into I think the rules specifically say it's a pilot with the Force.
Okay, so no.
So I think I would say no.
Okay. So yeah, that's probably what I would do differently. It's just not worry about shooting your ships and trying to kill you unless there's a way to. I think the reason I tried to do it in round 2 is because you had a round 1 shot in order to kill my. I think it was Jag, and I was thinking maybe I can kill him before he kills me. And you survived with 1 hull and killed me. So
yeah,
that was a bad call.
All right, so at this point, I'm down to 13 shields there on the Invisible Hand. You got the ionization in, and it was crazy how I think we forget how good a single evade can be each time. Like when you're shooting like a reinforced ship, and that's essentially when those once you had the ionization down, you're gonna see these shields just start getting chucked right pretty quick here.
Yeah, I think that, and also it's not a reinforce. It's more of a Nora effect where you
that's a good example.
Because at one point I think you rolled an evade and then added a second evade. Because at range 3 you still get the 1 agility at range 3. It's still a regular defense. And out of 3 hits, you ended up taking 1 shield, and that gets regen at the end of the round. It's like, okay, that's not fun.
Yeah, and then with this is where the fun begins. Like you said, you were able to bring out Anakin and Oddball. A little bit about my list. We did kind of build this out basically with what we had available. We only had about 22 points available. The pilot I wish we would have had an opportunity to see played in this game was the Count Dooku. Will, have you had an opportunity to play with that one yet?
No, I'm working. There's been a lot of upgrades that have come, and new pilots that have come out for X-Wing, and I haven't had a chance to fly him. But I'm very excited to see what he could do. Do you think he would be a hindrance or a help in the Separatist forces?
Oh man, I think the little guys might be better. It feels that way.
Is good. The respawn and numbers. I think you want numbers and respawn.
Numbers seems very helpful.
Yeah, I think the most I mean, we'll probably talk afterwards after it's all over, like some of the key points. But I think the ships that were the most helpful in your list were definitely the tri-fighters and the bomber.
Yep.
The one bomber that acquires a lock.
Yeah, and with that homing missile, which won the game right at the end. No, spoilers. I was able to pull off the game here. Oh man. Oh man, he did a good job.
Point, as you can tell, there's only 2 shields left. Like at this point, after the second round, and basically not killing one of your ships, and the only shield that I did on that box came back, I was like, no, I'm not gonna shoot at you anymore. I'm just gonna put every gun on here. But to my luck, or whatever you want to call it, you didn't start shooting at the Jedi until later in the fight.
Yeah, so I started. I gave you time.
Yeah, you were going after those 1 agility ships, and that allowed me to stay in the game probably a little bit longer than you could have if you just went after those Jedi early. Because once you started going after those Jedi, they did. Once you have 7 guns on a Jedi, they're gonna pop.
Oh yeah.
So that's what the clones are there for, is to draw the fire, right? Let the Jedi get in.
And
they did a good job.
And be meat cushions and take the shields. I mean, they got 3-die guns, and
so it looks like you did get all the shields down now. Is this where you can start getting those Palpatine tokens?
Yeah, yes. This is where you can start attempting that rescue mission, and the shields don't regen. As soon as you've gotten all the shields off, they no longer regen. Because before, I was getting 1 back a turn as long as I was shielded. Once they're all gone, that's it.
Yeah, and right now, Wolf is the one that is sitting on top of the
invisible hand.
The invisible hand. Well, this is if you were to take your time and watch this. This is the single worst Wolf play you will ever see in your life. Like, don't play Wolf as badly as I did. I think Wolf shot like twice the entire game. It was really bad.
He's got rear shots here. But yeah.
No, and I tried to set it up right there, but I just went too fast. I tried to set it up to
double shoot the hand.
Yeah, to double shoot the hand.
I was wondering if you could pull that off. Yeah,
you could, but I overshot it. So I'm hanging over by like a millimeter there, as you can tell.
So the shield. If the shields are down, who needs to pick up the Palpatine then? Can Wolf do it?
No, it has to be the Jedi. Only the Jedi can attempt. Right. So it happens after you execute a maneuver. You land on it. You take this is one thing we actually end up missing. We go back and correct it. You have to take a weapons disabled token, and then that gives you an opportunity to win. But if you only do it with 1 Jedi, it gives you an opportunity if you survive to the end of the round, because that's what happens.
Which is the tricky part, because you can't shoot. And so if you land in front of them, and also another thing that is very, very important, and it's a very it's a very viable way for the Separatists to either stall or win, is you have to fully execute the maneuver in order to capture. So if you bump, you cannot capture, or you cannot rescue Palpatine the Chancellor on a bump.
Okay.
With 7 ships, and that box is pretty.
And there you go. You just got your first rescue token right there. Now this is the mistake we made. We didn't put down the weapons disabled, and you end up killing delivering a blinded pilot.
A blinded pilot to the bomber
that had a missile, but we end up. Yeah, we end up rolling it back.
Remember that it had a missile until afterwards. Until after we took the blinded pilot off, like we completely played this wrong.
Yeah,
but that's then afterwards,
learning experience.
Now I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit, Mr. Good Sportsmanship. After the round was over, I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be disarmed, so I couldn't shoot you, because this is the time. I don't know if you remember. I only had I was depleted because I regened with R2D2. I had one die, and I was just gonna waste that one die to shoot the box and just shoot the box for fun. And Leon talked me into shooting his bomber one die against 3, and it landed a crit, and he got a blinded pilot.
Yeah,
That's.
I wish we had the audio for that. You should just play the audio for that when we just started like that one crit went in.
Oh, all right. So again, though, that was actually Anakin that came in from reserves to pick up the Chancellor. Then,
yeah. And by this point, all my other Jedi were close to dead. You can see Obi up there, but Obi is at one hull by that point.
And right there, Anakin dies to the first homing missile from the hyena bomber.
Which he had to roll because I was only at one hull, so I couldn't just.
And then, all right, so it's just up to Obi-Wan then. So he's now got to come in and pick it up.
Yeah, and as you can see, a very viable strategy. Just
crowd the box.
Just crowd the box.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
There's Wolf. Maybe getting close to shoot for the second time.
They can't come in and dunk it if you're guarding the box.
Thematically, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they're attacking, they're swarm the hand, right? You gotta get in there.
Yeah.
Though with the bumping rules, I was doing my best to try to bump into his ships and not mine. Right, but because you can't, if you try to like stack the box with yourself, you're gonna end up just killing a bunch of your ships, which you don't want to do, obviously.
And they respawn, you'll be fine.
I mean, but you only get. I'm saying you could, if you put yourself in a situation where you can lose more than one at a time, which is what you don't want to do.
And
so, what was your guys' favorite ships to fly around in this scenario?
So I would say, being in there, having the opportunity to fly tri-fighters in a setting where they felt like they mattered a little bit more because there wasn't as much combo wing, and Marcel's not focused on killing them. So I got to use these tri-fighters. I got to feel how fast they were, the maneuverability, and they all have really cool different abilities. And when I remembered them, it was really fun.
Yeah, I think for me, the two ships that just surprised me with how good they were. It's not that is Oddball. Oddball's always been this meme ship, and until I actually started using it and figured out like what it can actually do, which is when you take a red action, you can acquire, you or anybody at range 3 can acquire a lock on an enemy ship that's at range 0 to 1. So that means if you bump into something, you can red focus and either give yourself a red target lock against the ship at range 1. If there's multiples, like if you bump into the first ship in a formation, then you can target lock the second one for a double modded shot. Or if you're only playing against one ship, you can bump that ship, take a red focus, and then give a target lock to somebody else who's going to have a shot on that ship for your focus. So it is a very, very powerful ship. And then added to that, it gets a free shield upgrade.
Just based on the card, right? Like it's just on there.
Card, yeah, it's just 10 hull versus 9. It's a really good ship. It's better than I expected. And then Axe was the
barrage rockets, right?
Yeah, just the barrage rockets. He's not the only one. Tucker can do it also, of course, but
I feel like it'd be easy to hit the bullseye on that invisible hand. Get those extra rolls.
It was.
I would hope
I did do that once.
Yeah,
on the invisible hand. I did reroll on the invisible hand once. But what I'm saying is just Axe in general. It's easy to forget how good a V19 is. That is what they're called, V20, VT,
V19.
Yeah, the
V19s. Yeah,
it's easy to forget how good that ship with barrage rockets can be. It is ridiculously good, especially now that you can bump and stress focus and still get those barrage rockets off. They're really good ships. The Jedi itself, the Jedi itself is actually pretty interesting because now you get, especially with Obi and Anakin, you get the barrel roll boost instead of the remove stress and focus.
Right, yeah, across their abilities.
In one situation, I burned, in order to keep Obi alive, I moved, I got close, and he was in two range 1 shots, and I burned a force on both Obi and Anakin to have it barrel roll boost and still have an action. So that, I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, one thing that I did not, now, you know, when I'm in my head thinking like all the things that coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Right.
One of the ways that I could have won potentially was land. I executed my maneuver. I landed. I did not disable my own weapon. I could have taken the weapons disabled, carried Palpatine, and then used the 2 force to barrel roll boost out of the way because I didn't get shot that turn, and then just roll the 3-die initiative roll to see if I get lucky and get.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't even think about that.
There's no rules on like you can't do any more actions or anything like that.
Yeah. So I didn't even think about that. I could have just landed there. I didn't end up shooting because I ended up pointing the board. I could have landed there, taken the weapons disabled, picked up the Palpatine, and just given myself a. Well, what are the odds of rolling a crit? And it's 1 in 8, but 1 in 8 times 3. 3 times. I don't know what the actual odds are, but
So it's like a third.
like a 30, like 1 in 3 chest.
1 in 3 to like 1.5. Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. I mean, that's again, it's still those things that you figure out later. Like there are little ways that you can sneak a victory, but I'm curious. I'm gonna ask Dion first. I have my opinion. In your opinion, Dion?
Yeah.
Equal skill level on both sides. Equal level of understanding of win conditions on both sides. The way the rules are written, and assuming you're only using the ships that are provided in the
the Siege of Coruscant ones.
What is the percentage win rate you would give each faction, each side?
I think it leans towards the Separatists. I'm not sure what that is, but especially I was short 1 ship. If you go all droids, I was short 1 ship. They regenerate every turn. And like it, now that I know that essentially my win condition is kill the Force users. That's it. Kill the Force users and I win. Then I'm gonna ignore the clones unless they give me a reason to not ignore them. Because if you're just killing one of my ships a turn, I don't care, right? Like I'm good. And that. With those other 3 points, I probably would have used another Tri-Fighter because I have the 3 attack dice, 3 agility, and fast enough to make that the fact that I have to be range 3 away from you not really matter or matter less. I can just zoom in and be a part of the fight as quickly as possible. I do think it leans towards the Separatists. I'd want to test it first. That's my gut. But I mean, did you feel the same way?
I do, and I also think that there's, the more you play it and the more you think about it, there's gamesmanship involved that we don't even think about. For example, taking advantage of, let's say you have an opponent that understands the rules, is like, what, I'm going to ignore this. I'm just going to start shooting the thing. I'm not going to worry about killing your little things anymore.
The clones.
There's nothing stopping you from coming in and starting to load the box, like throw a Discord missile, pop it in there, and next turn fly it off the board and reload your Discord missile, come back, throw another one in there.
So there is
by card for it.
There is. No, it is limited because the rules do say that for that contingency protocol, it only works on non-limited upgrades. Okay, so I could not do that.
You could do it with
they saw that.
So.
I guess.
Or with some type of mines or something.
Proximize? Yeah, anything that doesn't have dots.
And it doesn't have that. Okay, I'd be curious. I haven't seen all of them, but again, that's just that one was debunked. But there might be other little nuances where you can start figuring out ways.
I think where the problem comes in is if you start using stuff outside of the Siege of Coruscant pack. That's when things start getting real weird. I think that's where you start like, what do we do?
Mines.
Yeet, bye.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not so good.
I would say if you're homebrewing this, if somebody flies their own ship off the board, they wouldn't get to come back. Because if I look at the rules, I think it does say something.
It's only contingency ships that come back.
Right. But I'm saying, like if you use something that I don't know. There's some shenanigans there. I'm sure we could figure out. But yeah, if you fly your own ship off the board, I don't think you should be able to bring it back just from the gamesmanship side. Because I don't think I think it says if your ship is.
He was going to say something very important.
The exact wording.
Well, it's just gonna have to crop us into it.
I'm actually clicking through the video that you guys are watching right now. Full mind considers maybe revive one destroyed ship.
Huh?
Ignore these upgrades. What would you put with these two 6-point YV666s?
Me?
You back?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah. Do you know?
You got the wrong ships with those two YV666s.
Well, I think we're back.
Anyway,
it's okay.
Bring it back.
So, going through that, Will, you said that you think you would lean a little bit more towards separatists versus the Republic. Now, here's a question that I want to throw at you. If we were playing a customizable version of this one, where you could play any ships, you could use the customizable versions. Do you know maybe where you would lean? How many Force users to non-Force users? How about that? Yeah, that's a little tough. Like, cause you could stack them with all Force users if you really wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, bringing Luke and Ahsoka. And Kanan in the Ghost.
Well, it'd have to be Republic. It'd have to be Republic. You got to be on theme still. That's
true. Sorry. Went too wild. Bring it back in.
Attack the Death Star. Yeah.
Well, anyways, so I think I would lean towards the Aether sprites. Just so good. And then it sounds like, as well, ion bombs on those V-Wings. I think Contra has one, but I think getting more of those out there on the battlefield really could disrupt the droids, really could disrupt the Invisible Hand.
Well, that's true, yeah. You didn't spend too much any time ionizing. I guess you didn't have enough ionization weapons available to really spend time doing it to my droids as well as the Invisible Hand. So that could have slowed you down a bit. That's interesting. Huh. We're going to have to try it. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this quick tutorial and gameplay of the Siege of Coruscant. You, of course, can pick it up at your local friendly game store. And we'll see you next time on Gold Squadron. Thanks for watching. Gold Squadron out.